Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome back.
Red leather, yellow leather. I was getting my vocal tricks in. So I wasn't all
Gotta,
tongue tied.
yeah, you don't want to get messed up and talk about stuff, uh, for sure. So
How you
I
been,
do that
buddy?
too. I've been doing good.
Good.
Things have settled down around here.
We got
Glad to
some
do it.
sunshine.
Yeah, man, that clock moved forward on Sunday,
That
and
helps a bunch.
man, it does. It's hard to get caught up on sleep because you lose that hour, but it is so nice to look outside and it be
Yeah.
7 o'clock and it still be uh, a little bit of light outside. And as we go on, it'll be 8:30, 9 o'clock
Yeah,
before the
man.
sun goes down. So
I didn't even think about the time change. And my daughter had a dance competition, and it's about an hour drive away, and we had to be there early Sunday morning.
yeah,
So I didn't even think about time changing. So I go to sleep, it's late when we go to bed Saturday night. So I set my alarm. Well, I happen to wake up at like 5 o'clock. Then I use the bathroom, like, oh man, I got about another hour left to sleep. So I sit down on the bed, man. I get ready to lay back down, and Christy's like, it's time for you to get up, isn't it? And I was like, no, man, I'm gonna sleep for another hour. She goes, it's like 6:14. And I was like, ah. And I said, man. And I said, dude, so like I've been like tired ever since like that moment of like being
I
defeated in that
understand.
1 second. Just-
I understand that. Well,
Yes, sir.
let's see what the old wheel has in store for us today.
The Wheel of Fortunes.
Yeah, let's see. Liar, liar.
Ooh,
Man,
that's a
this is a
favorite.
classic from my childhood. So,
Oh yeah, dude. I
uh,
was watching this movie when I wasn't so probably shouldn't be watching this movie. You know what
I
I
re
mean? Like it's
I
so
remember
good though.
I remember rushing to um the family video rental store
Yeah.
in my hometown the day it came out on to be able to rent, trying to get it because I don't think I went and seen it in theaters or anything, but it was so on the back of Ace Ventura and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Jim Carrey was such a huge
He
hit,
was
and
big in the
he
90s,
was
man.
big. So, well, let's watch
Yeah.
it. Come back, we can talk about it.
Sounds good. See y'all.
Yo, it's Josh and TCAT. Best believe that. Reeling in the truth. Stacking on the film stack. Popcorn popping. Critics keep talking. On this podcast, ain't no time for stalking. Real fine by me, we keeping it free. Josh and TCAT, the hosts you wanna see. Movie reviews, jokes that ain't new. Keep it locked in, cause we know what to do. Lights, camera, action, movie main attraction. Critics we ain't, but we got that passion. Breaking down the scenes, funny like memes. Josh and T-Cat, man, living the dream.
All right, man. It's quintessential Jim Carrey in this
The
movie.
pen is blue.
1997,
Yeah, I was
PG-13.
10 when this come
Yeah.
out. So yeah, I definitely shouldn't have been watching it.
Yeah, I was 15, so it was right in my wheelhouse. You
Oh
know,
yeah, dude.
um,
Perfect.
hour and 26 minutes. This movie had a budget of $45 million. This might be the most profitable movie we've had on the list so far because it grossed
It did good 302
2
million.
million.
That's
Yeah, it,
crazy,
yeah,
dude.
compared to the
In
45 million, it's
97.
Jim Carrey was such a huge star.
This had to be
Uh,
probably one of his biggest money-making movies.
so what? He had this, and
Dumb and
we
Dumber.
mentioned Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura. Um,
Uh,
those
The
those were
Mask.
all The Mask, all back to back to back. He was paid $20 million to do this film.
And
Um,
in 1990s, yeah, he was big time, dude. Yeah,
so
this
if,
movie,
so if you're figuring that out, the rest of the cast and the movie being made was $25 million
yeah,
because
just his
20
was
because
20 was
20 million of it was his.
dude, that's
So
crazy.
that
Fletcher.
made him one of the highest paid actors at the time for sure. I think 20 million still kind of a bar that people sit there to be
Yeah,
paid
per
on.
film, yeah, like they're
Yeah,
big time. They're A-lister.
even today. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're making 20 million of film. I mean, you're top of the market.
for sure.
That's wild. Yeah. I think that I wonder how like of course we might end up getting into some of that on
Yeah.
this podcast venture of like how like these people get paid. You know, I'm sure like different things are
Yeah, I know that some people go for getting paid up front.
there's
Some go with
royalties,
getting rolled
percentages.
back in. I seen a thing the other day. Matt Damon said that his one of his biggest regrets was taking the money up front on Avatar and not getting paid on the back end of that movie
Oh
because it made
man.
so much money. He would have got a whole lot more money on that deal. Um,
Yeah, it's
but
true a
yeah,
little bit. Yeah,
so
interesting.
you know, we seen Jim Carrey before this movie playing. As we talked, Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, really like comedic roles. He uh he wanted to take this role because it had a seriousness to it. I think he's seen Fletcher was kind of um based on a real person. Of course, you get your Jim Carrey vibes in this because of all the stuff that he contorts his body and doing and making all the jokes, but it's grounded in a reality of him loving his son and wanting his son to be there. That's something that he actually turned down the role of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers in order to do this movie. So uh, we all know Mike Myers just went ahead and did that himself, but
Yeah, the rest is history on
yeah,
that one.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. That's so
Um,
funny.
so we I also read that Judd Apatow did some rewrites on this movie, and
Really?
yeah, it was not credited, but he came in. They hired him for at the end of the recording session to do a couple rewrites for the end. But he's not, you know, huge comedy director, writer in the film genre. Judd Apatow. I think this was like one of the things that he first started working on before his name really got big. They originally wrote this movie for Steve Martin, which he was attached to for a long time, but it never got made. When he dropped, Jim came on, and that's when they actually were able to sell the
That'd be
movie.
weird if Steve Martin playing
Yeah,
Fletcher
I
Reed.
think it was a completely different vibe movie that way, right? You
Right.
don't get the physical comedy, you don't get the outlandish acts.
I don't think you get
That Jim
near as
Carrey's.
the not that Jim Carrey's vulgar, but not some of the
Yeah, I think with Steve Martin, you would probably get more of him being more
goofy
of an
dad.
well, him being more of an asshole, I think. I think
Yeah.
Steve Martin kind of plays that role pretty good, like he did in Jerks and stuff like that.
Yeah, playing
Funny,
trains
but
automobile.
so
Yeah, that's true.
I did read a remark that said that Jim Carrey went home from this movie totally exhausted every day because of the physical humor and stuff he put his body through while recording it. So you can see that on the film for sure.
Yeah, the court, yeah, like the scenes in the courtroom and all the
Yeah, in
different like
the bathroom where he's beating the crap
beating
out of
himself
himself.
up.
Apparently they didn't add any noise to that scene. Like all the noises you hear in the bathroom when he's beating himself up are the noises that they recorded during that part of the movie. So he was really going after himself in there.
Yeah.
So
I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind? And he's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" He said he gets back in the courtroom and he goes, "Who did this to you? A madman, Your Honor, a desperate fool at the end of his
end of his rope.
pitiful rope." And he was telling the truth because this was after he,
Yeah.
his son made the wish. Have we got into any of that about how like this comes to how the
No, we can
movie's
talk.
called Liar Liar?
Yeah, we can go over it. It's a movie about a lawyer, Fletcher Reed, whose ability
Big
to
time criminal
lie
lawyer.
for his ability to lie for a living is challenged when his son wishes that he would for just one day couldn't lie. And that's stems from him missing his birthday party to because he
Yeah, like
was
false promises, always getting his
false
hopes
promises
up,
he gives his son,
letting him down.
supposed to show up and doesn't because he has a job and he's really successful and he's more devoted to that than he is his son, which we kind
Right.
of feel like they kind of show that that's why him and his ex-wife aren't together anymore, right? Why they're split apart is that
Right. And there was
these
some,
transgressions were kind of what
Yeah,
kept them from being a family.
marital problems coincided as well.
His wife, Samantha, played by
Mara Tierney.
Maura Tierney. You know of anything else she's in? Because I remember watching this movie and she looks super familiar, but I don't know if it's one of those cases that she
She's
just
very
looks like another
familiar.
actor. She
She
looks like
looks a
another
lot
actress.
like Tia Leone. She always kind of reminded me of
Yeah,
her. And also the chick that's in anger management, like his wife. I can't even think of her
gotcha.
name, but she's also the mom in like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
They all kind of look alike. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
I
they're
got
all
you.
like that a 90s, they'll have that certain look where they're just real familiar.
So she and the guy who plays her boyfriend, um, he's from uh, Robin Hood Men in Tights, if you remember
Yep.
that movie.
Yeah,
He
he's
played
also in
Rob.
The Princess Bride.
Yeah, and also in The Princess Bride. Those
Yep.
are the only three movies that I really remember him ever being
Saul,
in.
he's in Saul.
Oh yeah, he is in Saul.
He's in Saul.
Um,
Yep.
I actually
He's
watching this movie back was
Carrie
like
Ells.
he he does. I honestly think he does a horrible job acting in this movie. It's not
Yeah,
good.
it's too hard.
Yeah, I don't know if he was directed to be that way or what, but
Like
he
he's
comes
over the
across
top like Mr. Magoo.
yeah, he comes across really stiff and kind of out of place in this movie where Samantha and even the kid Max seem to be really lovable and happy. He comes across as like strict and kind of
Uptight.
yeah, a little robotic in his delivery.
Yeah, he's
And
like a doctor or something, I think.
no, he is a medical administrator. And this is a note I took, right?
Yeah, I
He
always thought he was a doctor.
no, it says it in the movie. He's going to Boston to have because he got a job as a medical administrator in Boston.
Oh,
So he's going to uproot his life in
to
California
go push paper.
to go be a secretary in a hospital in Boston.
Yeah, it's
Like
wild.
I always thought, and I even said this to my wife when we were watching it. Um, I remember it being this big job he had to go to. There was going to be a whole lot of money, and that was the reason why they were moving. And then when he said it, because my wife's in the medical field, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, he's
"That's
not
just
making
a nurse
60,000
secretary."
at the
Yeah,
top, at the very top,
now
making
then it would have been
60K.
40.
Yeah,
You know,
tops. Yeah, you're making 40,000 to move your whole life.
your whole life across the country,
Yeah, it's
right?
pretty
No
wild.
wonder she didn't want to go at the beginning. Like she was like, "This dude really doesn't make a whole lot of money, and he's wanting me to move to Boston
Yeah, I
with him."
mean, and like Fletcher Reed, like he's like a very, you can tell like he has like a Mercedes SL 500 convertible,
Oh
and
yeah,
he
he's
got a
obviously a
nice, like,
very powerful, very
yeah, makes
successful
money.
lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
high time clients.
you know, pushing being a partner at this firm, which is good
Right,
money, obviously.
right.
So he, he gets entangled with his boss there, and that's the reason why he misses
Son's
his
12th
son's birth
birthday.
his son's birthday party, which
Was his 12th
uh,
birthday?
I don't remember
I don't know if they even
what
said.
birthday.
I'm getting off subject here.
No, that's fine. And
Yeah,
so that was like the big lie that pushed it over the edge. Once he, you know, once the wish goes, we start exploring, the real power of truth, right? And
yeah.
I think this film actually highlights the the power that truth really comes with. If you if you tell the truth from the beginning, usually good things work out. But if you're telling the truth and bad things work out, it's because what you were telling was a bad thing that happened, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. So it's a lesson of life.
yeah, it for sure is. This thing, we got a dad wanting to be with his son and kind of a romantic comedy all wrapped up in this, and it's kind of overarching as a lesson of life of how truth is
And
really so powerful if you actually use it, right?
I think it's
So,
also like on the flip side of that, like watching it as like a kid from like kind of like Max's perspective,
right.
as to now watching it as having kids the same age and being a dad myself, it's
100%.
like, man, like, 'cause you can empathize with Fletcher about how hard it is to, like, juggle all these things
Yeah, you can.
of being
And
a
neither one of
father.
us have a job that's anywhere near as stressful or time
No, no,
consuming as what
nowhere
he
near,
has, for
no.
sure.
Or as high
And
powered, but still at the same time, like, you do have to miss things sometimes, or like
mhm.
you can't be there for everything, even if you want to be. And I think that he does want to be a good dad because every time he is with Max, he's like, you can just tell he just loves his
Yeah.
son and all this, but he's
And
just got too much going on with
yeah,
everything
you
else.
can completely see that he is a good father when he's present, right? But the times when he's not present is what the problem is. The times
Yeah,
that he's
he's a
supposed to be present
workaholic,
and can't
first
get for
off.
sure.
I mean, because that's what drives him is his career advancement. But I
But
think
I
dudes get kind of lost in that too. Like he probably thought he was being a good dad that way,
because he was
you know,
providing, right?
providing well. So it's like it's just you're always teetering that line.
Yeah, the
So
father-son relationship is kind of what drives this whole movie.
yeah,
It's the whole thing. And I
that's the
think that
feel good part, I think, of
yeah.
it too.
And I think they kind of when you strip away the Jim Carrey making funny faces and falling on the floor, um, it is kind of grounded, like you said, in reality of what a dad and a son kind of go through, especially in a situation where the family's broken, a broken family
Right,
situation,
right. Yeah, he's
right?
like a single father,
Um,
he got a single mother too. You should see that side of it
yeah.
too, and her
Hmm.
struggle, as
Right.
well as dealing with him and his stuff, and dealing with Max being let down. It's a lot more than just a goofy comedy
For
movie.
sure. For sure. I think it definitely pulls at the heartstrings quite a bit.
It's got a John
Uh,
Hughes feel to it.
a little bit. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I agree with that.
yeah, yeah.
So, I think they cover a lot of ground. We kind of talked about it in an hour. This movie moves quickly. An hour and 26 minutes. We talked about, sometimes really loving a good short movie.
It's
Um,
crammed in there though, man, because
this
it's
one is definitely short. Uh,
yeah,
you know,
it's nonstop laughs and
yeah, there's a lot of exposition and set up on what's going on, and but they get right to it. It's a joke a minute. It feels like sometimes, and
yeah,
there's always something going on. Um, you know, he, Jim Carrey's character Fletcher, he's doing the claw, or
the claw,
right,
yes.
he's writing on himself, because he can't say the pen's blue or
I always
whatever the
thought it was
case may be.
weird that the boyfriend, Carrie L's character, whatever his name
Yeah,
is, he calls Max, Jim Carrey's son, the Gipper, which was like Ronald Reagan's nickname. And like I just thought it was weird he calls him the Gipper. I was like, why does he
yeah,
always call him that? It's weird. And that was before, like, when I first watched that, like that was before, like, Google was like readily available with your thumb.
right.
So I was like, for years, I was like, why is he calling that kid the Gipper? I thought it was like a fish, like a guppy. You know what I
Right, I
mean?
got you.
I was like, man,
And
it's just
and
funny.
Fletcher has a lot of nicknames for Max too. He's like Maximilian,
Yeah, Maximus.
yeah, Maximus.
Yeah.
And then he asked him if he's gonna play catch with him, and he was like, "Yeah, son, I'll be there." And he was like, "I'll be Jose Canseco." And then we see him later on getting pulled out of the courtroom. He's like, I'm
I'm
Jose
Jose
Canseco.
Canseco.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one of my
man. And
favorites.
everybody's like, what's he talking about?
It's one of my favorites of that film. Um, there's a scene where he's in the elevator with a attractive lady that I think everybody kind of remembers, where uh, she's
Chesty.
like, yeah, where he makes comments on the way she looks, and I think a lot of people remember that scene. This movie does something at the end that a lot of movies used to do, but now nobody does. Because kind of Marvel kind of killed this with their end of the movie after credits scene,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
they run bloopers and
Yeah.
stuff, and I always love that. I even like love going back and finding DVDs of movies. They put bloopers in there. You see TikToks of blooper reels from different shows. I think those are hilarious.
They
Um,
are funny.
but I really enjoyed that. That kept me watching at the end, even when the credits were rolling. So Uh,
I think, dude, my favorite scene from this movie is probably whenever his like faithful assistant Greta, the old
Greta.
woman that works, has been working
Yeah,
for him for years, and like
yeah,
this is the day he can't lie, and she figures it out, and she's like, "Wait a minute, you're telling me right now that you can't tell a lie because of like all this stuff?" And she's like,
right,
"What about that raise I asked you for
yeah,
last year or whatever?" And it's like all this stuff he made up, and he's like, "I'm just cheap or whatever," and
yeah,
she's like, "I'm leaving," and she ends up having like get him out of jail or whatever. So I thought
yeah.
that was just funny, like their dynamic.
Yes, that dynamic's great
Man,
between them.
because she
She,
like cares about him, obviously.
yeah, at the beginning, he's like, I need to get Max a birthday present, and she's
He
like,
already got
I
it.
already got you
Yeah.
one. And he goes, I should get you one. And she was like, got one here.
He goes, I always
Uh,
do the classy thing.
and then while he can't tell lies, she says, my friend had a burglar drop in from her sunroof
Yeah.
and cut his leg on a
On a
knife
knife on the
cut
butcher block.
on the butcher block. He sued my friend and got $5,000. Uh, is
She
that
goes, do you think
fair?
that's fair? Is that
He said, no,
justice?
I would have got her 10. I would have got him
Yeah,
10.
they got him 10. Oh!
So
Yeah.
that's probably one of my favorite parts.
I think it's funny too, is like whenever he like does tell the truth, it's almost like he shocks himself. Like a lot of times, like he'll say something, he'll be like, oh, and he'll be like, I
I
can't
think it
believe I just said
I
that.
think Jim played it that way because he's supposedly in his mind wanting to say the lie, but the
Right,
but the
right. He's
truth comes
shocked.
out.
He is so
So he is
shocked.
shocked.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, that's true. That's so funny, man.
you know, I love at the end of the film they're on the plane about to go to Boston, and he chases this plane down with a mobile
With a
stairs.
yeah, with the stairs.
Yeah. In real life, he would never get that close. One,
No.
two, there's no way the upstairs could keep up with that airplane.
Yeah,
Not
jetted,
at
yeah,
all.
going 150 miles an hour down a runway.
We're shutting it down. That some idiot stole the stairs.
Right, yeah. First thing. They would have done shot they've not shot him, but they would have slit the tires
Yeah.
on that
So
stairs.
there at the end of this movie, a little tidbit. He gets out. They get out of the plane. They're there with the ambulances and stuff. Max and his mom are walking out of the plane. They're firefighters and stuff there. Jim Carrey is in the background, dressed up as a firefighter, playing his iconic role from In Living Color, Fire Marshal Bill, in the background. You can see him doing the character and dressed up as the character in the background if you look real close. So,
Iconic character.
yeah, uh, I didn't know if you knew that or not, but he's there in the
I think I
background.
remember hearing that before.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to think if there's any other. Do you have some reviews for us?
I do. I've got some as we do each episode. I go to Google and try to find um, both ends of the spectrum, right? People who love this movie and people who hated this movie. So um, I got one here from RoboCat. Said I love this movie. Every time it's on cable, I tell myself make some time to sit down and watch it. And I finally watched the movie all the way through, and all I can say is, "Whoa, that story was so good." The morals in this story are really issues that we all face in our life. Making time for people who care about, and making time for people who we care about, making excuses. The character Max is adorable. He is one of the sweetest characters in any movie ever. Like most Jim Carrey films, you will not be disappointed. A really good movie, very watchable, and you can walk away from the TV for 1 second, come back, and still get what's happening in the movie. Great cast. I would give this a 6 out of 5 if possible. Perfect movie.
6 out of 5. Nice.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, that Tess here, who apparently felt the need a year ago to review a movie from 1997.
Wow.
I have never written a review online before, but I had to for this film to warn people just how terrible it is. If you want an hour and a half of Jim Carrey pulling funny faces and being bored out of your mind, then this is the film for you. If you want to switch off your mind and enjoy some unfunny, childish comedy, sure, you can enjoy it. But this film made me want to switch off my mind permanently.
God.
1 star. Uh,
Jeez. She
Tess,
she was ready to go.
yeah, I mean, so she did this in 2024.
Wonder what made her so mad about it.
almost 30 years after it came out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think it
why?
translates pretty good, really. I mean, if you're just watching it at what it is at face value,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know.
I don't know why you would come with that to have never done a review online before, which I call BS on that. Um, and then
Right.
to
Yeah,
be so
never.
mad at this movie from 30 years ago that you needed to get on Google and tell everybody about it seems a little bit suspect
Yeah.
to me,
Seems a
to
little
be
bit
honest with you.
retarded, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
So, um,
Well, I scored a little bit better than Tess.
yeah, me too. Um, I don't think this is going to be a Nick, I love you, man score from either one of us, uh, which is where we're going to rate the bar from now on. Uh,
Man, that's a high
so
bar.
I'll go first this time.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Liar, liar. I put at it a 2.8. Uh,
Ooh.
it's mid pack for me. It really
Yeah,
is a little bit past. It's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I think 1997 Travis probably would have been way higher up because uh, he was really into Jim Carrey back then, right? Like
right.
that was the
Who
deal.
wasn't in 97?
Yeah. So, but 2.8, that should put us, let's see, on our scale. Ooh, I got to pull it up at a kind of fine by me. 2.8, kind of fine by me.
2.8. That's a pretty solid score. I'm going to give it a rookie score of a 3.0.
We're not far off.
It's going to be kind of baseline, kind of about where you're at. And I think a lot of that too, scoring it even that high is going to be a nostalgia thing for me probably
For sure.
because it's childhood. Like I said, it translates well now because I'm a dad, and you kind of just the funny nuances of
Yeah, that pushes
dealing with
you.
some of the just nonsense of daily living, trying to be an adult. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to be at the end of the day. I think that's a lot of this too, is he just doesn't want to grow up in a sense, is a lot of it because he's goofy and he's
For
funny and he
sure.
kind of likes to play in his own way and he's selfish and, kind of doesn't want to grow up. But by the end of the movie, he does. And he kind of realizes what's important, but it takes him going through all this stuff to
Yeah, that
figure that
pushes you
out.
into the mostly fine by me category.
Yeah.
But we are super close in our rankings for this. It wasn't 2 points, I don't think makes a whole big a difference in this
About two
point 2 points.
tenths.
Two
Yeah, two
tenths, yeah.
tenths. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're pretty right there together. So yeah, it sounds good. That's a review.
yeah. Hope everybody enjoyed this. We're gonna me and Josh are gonna talk. We're gonna see on the last episode of Fine by Me podcast, Josh missed, and Wes asked us to review a certain movie and have him come on next week. So we might do that. We might come back with a wheel. I haven't even talked to Josh. He's learning about this the first time right now. So
Man, this
um,
is news to me, but that sounds good. I'm up for anything. Well, almost anything.
yeah, almost anything. I think you would
Almost
like this one.
anything.
Um,
That'll
if you
work.
want, so just so we cover, Wes would like us to do Idiocracy and have him
Oh
come
yeah.
on as a special guest next week.
Good time of
Um,
year for that.
yeah, so
Good time of life, events for that.
so I think that might be what we do. We'll have to get with Wes and see if he's available next week. If not, we'll come back, spin the wheel, and find out what happens there. Um,
Sounds good.
as always, like, subscribe, comment,
Yes,
tell us what
comment.
you
Thanks for listening.
give us a rating that y'all like on this movie.
Yeah.
Tell us where you're at and um, tell us what your favorite Jim Carrey movie is. Maybe it's The Cable Guy, which everybody hates,
Man, that movie's
or
pretty wild.
The Number 23. That's a weird movie too.
The number
Um,
23. Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
more of a Truman Show is when it comes to Jim
Truman
Carrey,
Show.
but that's
Yeah.
probably my favorite movie of his. All right,
Well,
guys.
sounds good, guys. Thank y'all for
All
watching
right.
and listening. We'll see you next time.